What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 29 of the Coffee Club Pod. We're back here, and our coffee shout out today is actually our own coffee, the Coffee Club Blend, which went on sale last week, and it's still available for purchase. So please check it out. It's on our website if you want to support us. We really appreciate it. It tastes pretty damn good, according to us, a very biased audience, as we're the ones that picked the coffee because we liked it the most. But yeah, it's pretty much.
Carlos likes it.
Even
Carlos
Carlos
was being so mean about the coffee earlier.
Which coffee?
About any coffee.
Yeah. He's tough to please, that man. You know,
he's hard to please with the coffee.
Yeah.
When you got the Carlos seal of approval, you know it's good.
It's a big deal.
I think we did get the seal of approval, but it was hard work.
We had to work for it.
I had to really tease it out of him.
Make that guy a lot of coffees. But moving past that, Olli just won nationals. I don't know if you guys heard. It was kind of like a big deal. Did you hear, George?
I just found this hat.
Just a coincidence.
And in honor of Olli.
Yeah. So
I'm willing to put it on.
So obviously our episode last week was literally like the day before nationals. Olli was feeling pretty good. We were feeling pretty good. But there's a difference between feeling pretty good and going out there and winning a national title in the 1500s. So he went and did that. So
we need some like clapping or something. Can we do the effects?
Yeah. Well, we can just clap. Avery, can you clap, please? I don't know if you can hear, but our intern is clapping in the back. But yeah, congratulations, Olli. I mean, it's weird because it's kind of been like 5 or 6 days now. So obviously we sent our best wishes at the time, but we're gonna revisit it today. So get ready to talk about yourself. Hope you're excited.
Oh, I'm thrilled. No, thank you guys. It was pretty sick experience. First natties down and put in the books. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
We have to make a clarification because we did the research and we found that you actually have raced nationals before, but never open nationals. Did you know that?
Oh, so I have when did I race nationals? What year was it?
You raced under 20s in, that would have been 2016.
Yeah, in Perth. I got rinsed.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we were going to meet. I think you came second last.
Rambo won the 5K and the 1500. That was the year that the 1500 was Worlds. There was Worlds on, and the 1500 had like 6 people under the standard.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well,
I think I repressed that.
Yeah,
I think you ran like 3:59 and you came 11th out of 12 or something.
I think I repressed it.
It makes it more impressive though.
It's a good bounce back, isn't it?
Yeah.
From 11th place under 20s to champion of the Opens, we'll take it. And
I'll tell you that.
Second place was Matt Ramsden, who won both those races. So look at how the tables have turned, I suppose.
Yeah. He ran really well in that 15 as well, and then came back and won the 5K the next night. So he's fit. That boy Rambo is fit. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was only a second behind you, right? And I guess we should give like a brief play-by-play of the race. Like you obviously closed extremely well. It was like 148 last 800. And what was the first 2 laps though? Was it slow? I assume
it was. I don't know what the
first
first
from 340. Yeah. Someone do the math. 340.
Yeah. I know the last 300. The last 200 was 26. The last 300 was 40 point something. And then
it was plan A. There were 2 plans, depending on the weather. One of them was go at 800.
What he said he was going to do.
Yeah. Okay, was that bad weather plan or was that good weather plan?
I literally did. So Ritz and I talked about it, and he said, we could just go out from the gun and just like squeeze it, but then you have the issue of and also you have the issue of like somebody jumping on like Jai for what's happened to Stewie, and then just getting the time, and then also just out kicking you, slingshotting and beating you. Like it's probably better just to let the first lap go, and then just rip it from 2 laps to go out, and then people, he reckons that because of the strength and the racing that I've done, that I should be able to handle that. So, and that's what we did. It was literally exactly what we did. Was textbook, George. It was textbook.
It was textbook. Oh my George.
Yeah, because it definitely was textbook, George. Yeah. It was textbook, comma.
I think the first lap was like 66 or something.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. If you, credit to Ramsden because he was only a second behind you. So if you ran,
he probably closed in 149.
Yeah, it's pretty.
He did, yeah.
New 800 meter PR for Olli too.
Was it?
I think you're
also about 40 kids out there, all coffee club fans, and it was pretty sick. Like I didn't think, because obviously we do our stuff in the US and we have like the outreach, but seeing like all those young Aussie kids like just loving it and loving coffee club and what we do was pretty sick.
Yeah.
So they were like following me from leaving the like call room all the way back to my bag, and we're just chatting. I got like literally 1,000 photos. Some of them reposted it, which was pretty sick. And they gave me Mountain Dew. They were joking around with shit. They were asking who's looking after Gus. It was great. And the nice thing too was I actually brought this time to a meet. I brought stickers. So I brought a shit ton of stickers. So I handed out stickers to all of them, and they freaking loved it. And they got all these stickers. But the funniest thing was that we had these WA kids. Like there was like 6 or 7 WA kids. They were just like massive fans, and they just want to get photos. And Ramson's from WA, and he's just walking straight past. I'm like, damn,
ooh,
that's not, yeah,
that hurts.
Yeah, no allegiance to state pride, but yeah, it was pretty sick. And then my parents were there, and they were like, just didn't know what was going on. They're like, what the hell is this? Because they've never seen that before. Like, because last time I competed in front of them, I think I was getting 12th at nationals, apparently. So, yeah, it was pretty sick. And the one thing that was really cool too was my dad cried. So first time I've seen him cry.
No.
That's first time?
Well, what happened was my dad had a chest infection. He's all good now. But I started to get a cough the day before the race. And he was freaking out thinking he's giving it to me because he had to stay at home because of work. He works with disabled people, so he didn't want to get them sick. And he was freaking out that he got me sick and that I was going to destroy my race. So he was a nervous wreck apparently in the VIP box. And then when I won, apparently Rowan Browning, who was there, he looked over and saw my dad just breaking down. So it was pretty cool. Finally got him. I cracked him. I cracked Greggy.
How the days off been? All the days since the race?
We went up to McMaster's Beach. There's like a beach house my mum's side of the family has, and we went up there for a day. It was awesome. It was actually good weather for that. My dad caught 3 fish in the space of 15 minutes. It's a new record. He caught a massive brim too, and he threw it back in, the idiot. We could have eaten it. My brother and I went for a swim and a surf. The surf's been pumping too because of the weather, like the storms and stuff. So the water's a bit dirty, but it was really fun. Really nice to be up there. Like I think when you go home and you get to experience a bit of home after a long time of being away, it's just really refreshing. So I had that for the couple of days. I caught up with my grandparents. They're like 93 and 96. So they're pretty old. So I don't know if I'll, be able to see them again, but it was nice to catch up and see how they're doing. And then other than that, for my break, I've been playing a shit ton of video games and eating fast food. What do you expect?
Right. Ritz gave the all clear on surfing.
Oh, I didn't tell him. And the surf was big. It was like 3 meters or something. Shit. Yeah, I didn't tell him that. Anyway, I'm fine. What else has been happening on your end, fellas? How's the COVID situation? Are you guys feeling all better, or?
Yeah, so
we got it under control.
Yeah, it's
under control.
This is episode 3, where since like we've talked about COVID, and things are definitely back in normalcy now for pretty much everyone. I'm still coming back in terms of like the effects that it had on my body with training and stuff, but luckily the team has been able to like meet again and all that, so it is pretty good.
Yeah, we're mostly back to normal. Joe was the last victim, and he had like the shortest time with it anyway. So
isn't Joe already back working out now?
Yeah, he ran 20 miles yesterday. Pretty freaking hard.
Feeling pretty good.
And he's already he worked out with me on Sunday, and he actually did like 2/3 of it maybe, but he could have done all of it easily.
Yeah.
Well, we obviously can't wait for you to come back. It's only a few days now, and he'll be back in the country. We hope you have a good trip back, a nice travel on that long flight. The rest of this episode, we're going to roll into an interview with Mr. Scott Fauble, which we did this morning, which was a lot of fun in his lead up to Boston Marathon. So stick around and enjoy that. But yeah, once again, Olli, congratulations on the big national title, crushing it down under. Can't wait to see you back here very soon.
So I was trying to rep Coffee Club as best as possible, boys. Looking forward to seeing you guys.
And we're back. We got our guest here, Mr. Scott Fauble. Scott, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. We should mention quickly, we're drinking some lovely coffee that was sent to us by Katie. It's, what's it called, George?
Stella Morning Blend, Marfa Coffee Company, somewhere in Texas.
Shout out Texas. And the bag is super cool. I don't really know a lot about Marfa, but I'm pretty sure it's like some cool artsy town. So this seems pretty typical, but it tastes really good. So thank you very much for sending it out. We still love receiving coffee from anyone who wants to send it. So thank you for that. But yeah, we're just going to roll into it. We got Scott here obviously because, well, should I call you, do you go by Scott?
Scott's fine, yeah.
Do you like it, or do you like people call you Fobs, right?
I'm not that picky about what people call me, as long as it's not like idiot or like
dickhead,
like fuckhead, it's fine. And whatever.
Do you get that a lot?
Idiot?
Yeah,
occasionally, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. But yeah, you're like kind of on I guess it's a very, very low key, but like a little bit of a media tour. I was looking you up yesterday, and I saw you just did the Running Rivals podcast. Have you done anything else, or is this the media tour?
Yeah, I did the Running Rivals one. I did the Trackster thing where you run with the guy, Everett, he films you. So I did that, and now I've got this one. So yeah, I'm back, baby. I'm on the circuit.
Well, I hope it's not like, probably some of the questions will be, but I hope it's not just like repeating yourself. I don't know if you guys have had that before, but when you get the same questions, you just become like a robot. Like when you've said it before and you get stuck in that pattern. So hopefully we'll ask you some other wild, interesting stuff. I was telling him before that I'm very excited to have him on because obviously all of his running achievements, but also it's just interesting because you've done a lot of like cool media stuff, both you on a personal level, but also I think with NAZ Elite, like there's a reason you're a very popular runner, I think like you show a lot of your personality, burritos.
Yeah.
You like burritos. So.
Yeah. And, I don't mind doing a lot of interviews because I get to talk more about myself. And as many people know, I'm very self-centered. So
That's good to know.
Happy to talk about myself at any given moment.
Did you know that about him, George, when you guys were in flag together? That Scott guy, man, he just fucking loves himself. He won't shut up.
Interesting you say that. We ran into each other surprisingly small number of times in like 5 years. But I was thinking about it when we were thinking of having Scott on. I was like thinking of when I got to flag, and I was so clueless about like the running community. Like I don't think I knew what pro running was. But like in AZ Elite, and people like Scott were like my first introduction to what like a pro runner was, because they were just like living in the same town. I was like, these guys, they just run for a living?
Yeah.
What are these guys doing?
Yeah, it makes sense, honestly. Yeah,
and it was like, and then like I feel like NAU is like big fan of NAZ and vice versa. I don't know.
Just big old circle jerk.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I feel like I always felt like I was supporting NAZ because they were like locals. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can disagree with that.
All the flag stuff is kind of like that, no? What is it? People on the outside?
There's a little bit of there's some sort of like cliquey like things in Flagstaff. Like a lot of groups that come in don't make any effort to be like a part of the community, which is fine. Like they're not a part of the community, they're there for a month. But I think a lot of the people in the community, there's like a lot of opportunities to be a part of like Flagstaff running, whether it's volunteering at TRF or like going to the bagel runs or supporting NAU. And it's tough not to support NAU. And it's like, Mike is great. Mike Smith's great. Before that, Eric Hines was really cool. And like compared to what most universities or like people with track facilities, sort of their attitudes towards sharing them, NAU is way more welcoming than like your average high school or your average university either.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
How it's very welcoming.
Regularly.
We talk about that a little bit too much, honestly. Yeah. Not throwing any shade at any local schools, but we did have to travel 2 hours away to use an indoor track when there's one like 10 minutes down the road. Would be nice to use that, but unfortunately not. That's not the way it goes. But yeah, I didn't want to talk about this first off because in the Running Rivals podcast, it was literally the first question they asked you was Boulder versus Flagstaff.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like, I'm like, the thing is, like, not that your answer is invalid, but I know exactly, like, even before I heard you answer that question, I knew exactly what you were going to say. Like, it's pretty much like Boulder's a better city, Flagstaff has better trails for running. Like, that's kind of the crux of it, right?
Yeah, and you can go down in Flagstaff.
No, I forgot about that.
But
wait, should we give an update? Sorry to cut you off. People are back on the Sedona track already. You guys see that?
Yeah, it seems like everyone's back on there.
yeah, I didn't know that, but I'm glad that the defecation situation has been sorted.
It's been solved apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Not that you probably go down there. Did you guys go down there much?
No, not really. And I don't do a ton on the track anymore, so I didn't really ever go down.
Mm-hmm.
Especially not when the defecation happened.
Yeah,
I was
you
not
were
down there
definitely not-
when any
definitely
sort of
not there.
defecation happened.
You gotta steer clear of that. You
Yeah.
don't want to be found guilty for that one. But yeah, so there's like obviously a lot to talk to you about because there's just like so much interesting stuff. But we're gonna start with obviously Boston because that's why the media tour is happening. You're racing a marathon in what, 2 weeks from Monday, is it?
2 weeks from last Monday.
less than 2 weeks
now.
Yeah, I'll leave for Boston in 8 days.
Damn, that's exciting. And you've raced that one just once before or more than once?
Twice.
Yeah. Do you like that type of course?
I do. Yeah, I like it a lot. And I think those are courses like Boston and New York are the ones I can do the best at.
Mm-hmm.
Because those races are just not 203 or 205 races like most of the marathons across the world are. And look, I'm a confident guy, but I know that like running in the 205s or the 204s is like probably not going to happen to me. So, I would like to be in races that I can hopefully be up front and be a factor in. And so you kind of have to pick your spots when, you're a 209 guy racing 203, 204 guys. And Boston and New York are spots where I can kind of compete with those guys. It's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Evens the playing field a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, would you say you're pretty tough?
I sure hope so. Yeah, I would say that's part of my self-image.
Yeah.
Being pretty tough.
Yeah, that's kind of like the way to do it for marathoners. I feel like, I guess all marathoners are tough if you're racing the freaking marathon. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to have success in New York and Boston, and that's probably a big part of like what kind of blew you up. Like it's kind of weird saying that, but you had like back-to-back success at both New York and Boston, and those were right next to each other, right? Like just like how many months apart is that? Like 5?
Yeah, New York is in November, Boston's in April, so it was November, December,
Like 5 or
January, February,
6.
March, April.
And you were top 10 at both of them, and I think New York you were second American and first American in Boston. So like having that back to back, that's kind of what like made you a freaking like star, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, it's I don't know how much of a star I am. I don't like, I'm very like not very famous. I'm situationally famous. Like
it's niche.
Like I can go to Target just fine. But like I will, like if I was walking down Boylston on Boston Marathon weekend,
You're a big deal. You're a big deal. You're a big deal.
Yeah.
You're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unfortunately reality.
At a very popular trailhead with many people, somebody might recognize me.
Yeah.
That's the running mode in a nutshell right there.
Yeah.
It is so weird because even like people look at Boulder as like a big running town, but I feel like this is not the place to get recognized. I could be wrong. Obviously, there are some people who like are massive running fans here, but I feel like no one cares really. Maybe there's too many good runners here, but like people don't really.
I think it's almost people are desensitized. It's not like people don't recognize you. It's like people see you like every few days, so then they stop caring.
Like who's this George kid? I saw Carrie Goucher 2 days ago.
Don't care. But but Boulder's kind of weird for that. But okay, I definitely want to talk about this later, but I think we should just talk about it now. Can I ask you about the writing a book?
Yeah, let's do it.
Was that pretty cool experience?
Yeah, I mean it was. It was fun. It was fun, and it was fun in part because I did well at the race at the end of it. Like it's a lot of work too. If I had done all that work and then gotten like 16th, like probably nobody reads that book, and probably it doesn't come out.
Fair.
So it was fun to kind of like flex the brain again because I had been out of college for 3 years and I was sort of like feeling very like stale intellectually. And
I know about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about that last week, I think.
Yeah. And if you don't have a hobby and if you don't flex that muscle, then it like you start to kind of like feel like shit,
Mm-hmm.
So you wrote it in the lead up to that Boston Marathon?
To New York.
Wait, it was to New York.
It was New York, but then you put you also added, was there like a second edition you did? Because there was something about Boston, one of the things, right?
Yep. So we did the first one, or the first version came out about New York, about getting 7th there and all the training leading up to it. And then after we did so well at Boston, my profile went up, and we thought like, okay, like let's put in an afterward, like let's put in an extra chapter, reprint it, and sell it again as a new product. So yeah, the current version that you can get includes a chapter about Boston, and that's on Amazon if anyone would like to buy that.
It's called Inside a Marathon?
Yeah, Inside a Marathon by myself and my former coach, Ben Rosario.
Yeah, so how did that dual writing? Would you guys write like chapters each or something?
Yeah, so each chapter is like a week. So like chapter 1 is the first week we started doing workouts.
Oh, so you just copied Matt Baxter's training log.
Basically, yeah. So it's
fellow author,
yeah,
he was sort of on my corner. He published his after mine, but
okay, fair enough.
No, like at its like most basic, it's a training log, but it's also got like, and it does have every single thing I did leading up to that race, like every minute of core, every time I got physio, every time I went to the weight room, every run I did, every single one of my splits, but in addition to that, it's like, there's like 1,000, 1,500 word summary of the week. And I don't know, I felt like both Ben and I were pretty honest and pretty vulnerable about like, like at one point in one workout, I felt like I was going to have a panic attack, like during the workout. And I shared that in the book. Like I didn't hide from any of that. And I think that's what took it from a training log, which ultimately, like, it's pretty boring to read people's training logs, to like hopefully feeling more like a journal or like a diary entry, which is much more interesting to read in my opinion.
Yeah, that is, I mean, it's a pretty great idea. I think a book is like a medium to share a lot of stuff that as runners we probably want to share, but obviously an Instagram post isn't gonna be similar. I don't want to get too personal, but like, does something like that like do pretty well for you financially? Like, is that like, should we write books? We're struggling.
Let's see.
Should I be writing my training log out? I'm really bad at documenting my training. Like,
how to answer that?
Hey, you tried a little while ago. Started that blog.
Yeah, I did at one point. It didn't last very long.
I would say we've made enough money to me not feeling like the work was like a waste of time by any means. But we're not New York Times bestsellers. And we didn't go through a publishing company in part so that we could get the book out really quickly. Like we published that 3 or 4 weeks after Boston, after New York. Yeah. And that included us editing it ourselves, like figuring out how to get it printed and bound all by ourselves, formatting it all by ourselves. And then it also has like over 150 pictures, and like you can still buy the color picture version on Amazon. It's more expensive now that it's on Amazon, but it was like,
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
But no, I mean, we did fine. We did fine with it.
Okay, we did fine.
Yeah,
I guess that's all we're getting.
Yeah.
So maybe we have to write a book ourselves to find out really how much money you can make. I have to feel like, I mean, there's a few running books out. Like running books are really cool, I think. Like, because there's not like a ton, or maybe there is and I just don't pay attention to them, but the ones that I do know have had a big impact on me. Like, I don't know, George, have you read like Running with the Buffaloes? You haven't read any running books, have you?
What are the other ones?
Running with the Buffaloes.
What's the pre one?
There's a really good one by Bill Bauman and the Men of Oregon is really good. There's
like 3 or 4 about
what's that fake
Roger
one?
Bannister.
Yeah, Roger Bannister, sub 4 or something.
Yeah, and then I think another one's called like The Perfect Mile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or Once a Runner. That's the fictional one, right?
Okay, that's a really good book as well.
I haven't read that.
That's the one where they guide it. Have you read that?
Yeah, Once a Runner, and then the sequel again to Carthage.
I haven't read that. I need to check that out. Actually, another one I really like, which is something else I want to talk to you about, is called How Bad Do You Want It? Do you know that book, Scott?
Yeah, and I know Matt Fitzgerald pretty well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did he came and wrote a book on NAZ Elite, didn't he?
He did, yeah. It wasn't about NAZ Elite. It was, he wanted to write a book about what it was like for ostensibly like a normal runner who cared a lot but wasn't super talented. Like, what if you could dedicate your sort of like 12 or 16 weeks to a marathon buildup the same way the pros do? Mm-hmm. And I think it was called Running Like a Pro or
Checks out.
Something like that. Yeah, and so he came to Flagstaff in the fall of 2017, spent like 12 or 14 weeks in Flag with us every day, coming to practice and lifting weights and seeing the chiro and basically doing like an amateur version of what a pro marathon build-up looked like.
Mm-hmm. Can we get a spoiler? How did it
go?
go?
He PR'd by quite a bit in the marathon, despite having like a pretty bad adductor injury, like 4 or 5 weeks out. So yeah, so he, and Matt's a good example of someone who, like I think a lot of the books around running are like pretty simple, but it's still like a lot of work to like create it. And Matt does a very good job of like, he's always working on 2 or 3 things at a time. Like he's always looking for different angles. He's a hustler. He works really hard, and he's sold a lot of books,
Yeah.
And good for him.
He definitely writes a lot of books. I have noticed that. Like I haven't read a lot of them, but you should check out How Bad Do You Want It? It's like a book where it's like each chapter is like a lesson essentially, and he goes like a deep dive on a different, they're all endurance sports based, but it's like a different sport and a different athlete he'll focus on to like show the lesson. It's definitely one that I would like recommend to anyone. Just like it's just like cool. It's one of those books that leaves you pretty inspired, which is to me what a lot of running books do. Like you get pretty like pumped after reading them. So I have to admit I haven't read your book, but I think I'm gonna have to get it. Definitely I'm gonna.
I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I haven't read a running book in a long time, to be fair. Like that was like when I was like a little loser.
This is making me think. There's like a lot of media out there about NAZ in general.
There's a shit ton.
This made me think of. And I'm annoyed because I haven't watched this because I couldn't figure out how.
I know what you're about to say.
Is the Rabbit Wolf, like Stephen Kirsch's film leading up to the marathon trials. But it was only on like, there were like showings. And I didn't know how to watch it. But the trailer looked freaking sick. I tried to like watch it legally. Tried to like find that online. What was it called?
It's called A Time and a Place.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I think
I love the stuff Kirsch does also.
Yeah, Stephen and Ryan Sterner are both very talented. And that was really cool. I mean, that was great. I'm like a very tangential part of that, considering like Alfie Tuliamuk wins the Olympic trials.
It's a pretty good story. It's a pretty good story.
Yeah, and what a great like capper on the movie too.
Definitely.
Have they not released it?
I think it's on Vimeo now. I think you can watch it on Vimeo.
Do you just buy it?
I think it's. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the pricing. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, so I don't really feel the need to like. Go and like buy it on Vimeo, but I think everyone should. I think it was an awesome project by Kirsch and Sterner, and they had like, obviously it's really tough to get your documentary on like a Netflix or an HBO or whatever. So I think there's probably still hope for that, but right now it's on Vimeo. Yeah. Pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
I think that sounds right. I've watched the trailer on Vimeo at least.
We got a little list. We got some books to read, some movies to watch, but. Yeah, a lot of it. This is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, where NAZ Elite have done like a great job of publicizing themselves, and you were obviously a really big part of it. Was that like when you were there, like kind of something that obviously like Ben Rosario, your former coach, he has like a mind for that? Because some coaches, are just like, I don't give a fuck about that. Like I just want to like train and race. But is that something that like is like, it's kind of like a conscious decision as a team? Like we need to like put effort into giving content or whatever you want to call it to fans, because especially as a marathon group, when your athletes are only racing 1-2 times a year, maybe, like it is definitely hard to follow. But yeah, was that something that was like put emphasis on?
Yeah, absolutely. The like team motto, the team credo was like train hard, race fearlessly, share every part of the journey.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And that I think comes a lot from like when Ben started the group. He put a bunch of his own money into it with the hope that he would be able to like basically sell a sponsor on coming on to the group, and they did with Hoka. And he sees the value in the team being like its own brand in order to create value for whoever the sponsors are.
That's what it should be. It makes sense.
Yeah, and it clearly is working. When I was at NAZ Elite, the most recent contract with Hoka included health insurance for the athletes. Like that's unheard of.
Don't get us started, man.
And it shouldn't be unheard of. But and I'm not like, I don't think that Hoka was doing NAZ Elite some huge favor by providing health insurance. Like NAZ Elite had built enough value that they were able to ask for that and receive it. Like that's a partnership. That's something that they earned, not something that Hoka did out of the goodness of their heart.
No, 100%. I don't know what the numbers are, but I think if you look at how much success Hoka has had as a brand in the last 10 years or whatever, I think a lot of it they probably
It's got to be a big part of that.
Yeah,
I think like
no doubt.
Yeah, like it's pretty crazy. So just for context, so you joined the team in 2015.
I did. Yeah,
How
fall
long-
of 2015.
How long before that did the team start?
I think the team formed officially in like the early parts of 2014, and then they signed on with Hoka in the early parts of 2015.
So you're like pretty much day one.
Yeah, this means we moved to Flag. Did you move to Flag then too?
Yep.
And we got Flag at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Damn, that is cool. But okay, I like how at the start of this, like I started by saying let's talk about like Boston Marathon. Now we haven't talked about it once yet, but just still going down this tangent. I do want to talk about Portland because you went to Portland, right?
Let's do it.
And I see a lot of similarities or parallels between Portland and NAZ Elite in terms of like a slight underdog mentality, like very, very likable. Like what's the name of the coach at Portland?
Rob Connor.
Yeah, he's like a legend. Like
He's great
every
guy.
Every single athlete that I know like that has been trained by him like absolutely loves him. And yeah, Portland's not a big school, but it's like has a lot of success, and I think probably NAZ Elite at some point felt like a similar way where it's like we're going up against these big other groups, but we're going to have like the success. If you could just like sum up your Portland experience, like what would you say? Because I think Portland is a school that I would recommend a lot of kids to like go to. You know what I mean? Like if you're not like if you're like unsure, like and like because there's kids who obviously might not be getting like attention from like the top schools. I think Portland like is like everyone that goes there seems to have a good time.
Yeah. How would I sum up I had a great time at Portland. I had a really good time. And I think a lot of the reason I think like a vast variety of kids having a really good time at Portland is because Rob really lets the athletes take ownership of the team. Like he's not a micromanager. He's not like a dominating force. He's in a lot of ways, like his idea is to just guide people, just help people develop. And each student athlete is able to like take as much ownership or not that they want to. And the kids who don't take ownership, they usually don't make it all 4 or 5 years. And the kids who do end up having a really, really good experience, whether that's, running in the 1340s and being an All-American in cross country, or whether that's like finally breaking 1430 their 5th year and still having, but like making some of the best friends of their entire life along the way. Like there's a spot for basically everyone with at least a modicum of talent on the pilot team. Mm-hmm. And, Rob and I still text, a couple times a month about, variety of things. I would check in about how the team's doing. He asked how I'm doing. And I think he has done a very good job of just like caring about every single athlete that walks through those doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely see a lot of similarities to like a Mike Smith or like Mick Byrne in terms of like almost being more of like a mentor figure than just a coach, and really inspiring people to take responsibility like for themselves and their own running, because that's probably the big thing that I see is like if someone, you can tell when a kid like doesn't really want it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like kind of how you said how like Rob leaves it up to the kids. Like in this sport, it's like at the end of the day, it's so individual. So it's like if you don't like have that like self motivation, that kind of drive, like I feel like it's just not going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And a big thing that Rob does that I didn't really realize it at the time, but now that we've talked about it, now that I like look back, is that he really keeps, like if there's a kid who's maybe not as talented as a lot of other kids, but is going to work his ass off and run 110 miles a week and like, be a really good teammate, that's really valuable to him because it keeps the top guys who are talented and maybe like could have the leeway to slack off. It's like one of the guys in my class was named Griffin Hay. He was just not super talented, but he worked his ass off. And if I'm there and I'm only running 85 miles a week, half-assing workouts, whatever, how do I look Griffin in the eye and be like, hey, I'm working my ass off for the team too, when Griffin is less talented than me, but running way more and trying really hard,
Mm-hmm.
So this like idea of developing really hard workers, I think it keeps the top guys honest, and it creates a culture of like accountability as well. And I think, I don't know if Rob...
I know who you're thinking about. Do you know who I'm thinking about on your team?
No, but that is like, you could have been explaining like the exact same mentality that Smith has. Like, they would, I mean, I don't know who you're thinking of.
I'm thinking about Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey is.
I don't know, because I mean, I don't know other six, but I know you always described him as like, he was just the best to have on a trip with the team. Like, he wasn't necessarily like scoring in the top 5 or even in the top 7, but he was like a kid that you wanted to have on every trip.
Yeah, I could have named like half a dozen people while I was on the team that, I mean, that were less, maybe less talented than some of the top guys and maybe weren't on the top 7, but like would go into a meeting with Smith at like the start of the summer and be like, he'll just give them free rein. He's like, you want to take responsibility for this? You want to go have a crazy summer? And they'll go out and run 120 miles a week. And like, they're doing like 10-10 doubles.
Yeah.
Like, and like all this crazy shit. And like the guys who are racing, like, holy shit, I'm not even close to that, but like, man, I'm going to freaking do what I can to like have them respect me because that's some crazy shit.
It is really interesting how much kind of more of an impact like the other kids have on a team's culture rather than the actual coach. Like, obviously the coach is extremely important and they're going to have a big impact, but your teammates are like who you're around like every single run, you live with them and everything. Like, a coach can only really do too much. And obviously, like, I don't think we experience this, but I feel like if you have a coach that like tries too hard to like make the team a certain way, then that's when, I don't know, I don't really like being told what to do. So if a coach was too controlling, it'd be like, I don't think that would work. But yeah, the coaches that let the kids kind of like form their own culture and put their trust, I guess, in the right people, I feel like that's how, I mean, that was all our experiences, and we're all obviously talking about it very positively, so maybe we're all biased. But
yeah. No, I think when you talk to people who had like a really domineering coach or a dominating coach, then like if the coach is trying to make the team conform to his culture as opposed to him letting a healthy culture grow and fostering it, they end up like maybe having success but not actually like enjoying their time there, and there's certain coaches, I don't want to like talk shit about a program I wasn't a part of, but there's certain coaches who that certainly I think applies to, where a lot of guys come through that program and they're like, yeah, like I really like my teammates, but like I really resent my coach now.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
No.
Damn. So when exactly did you graduate from Portland?
I finished my 5th year in the like summer of 2015.
Okay, so were you part of the cross country team that was top 4? Was that your last season?
Yep. Yeah, we were 3rd. Myself and Woody Kincaid was on that team, and a few others. We were 3rd. That was our first podium in program history.
Damn, I remember that being huge because that was my freshman year.
Okay.
And I remember David Perry being on like crutches. Was that race?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I like, because that was like a kind of star-studded podium, but then Portland was there. And it was like fuck yeah, because it was like CU. I think NAU was NAU there.
Probably yeah. CU won it.
I think. You were 4th. And
BYU, I think, was... No, we kicked the shit out of BYU. We beat BYU there, I think. I forget who was 2nd. I don't know. Maybe like Oklahoma State.
I was going to say Oklahoma State or someone,
Yeah, I remember like seeing Portland on the podium being like, damn, good for them.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think maybe because purple is my favorite color.
Okay.
You guys are purple. I just always liked Portland, so...
I feel like we like Portland too as a team. I remember... We felt a great kinship in 2017 about beating BYU.
Anti-BYU.
Anti-BYU when Portland got 2nd and BYU got 3rd. And that was after BYU had perfect scored Portland at conference.
Yeah.
And so Portland had a real chip on their shoulder.
Yeah. I think it's an easy program to root for.
I think it is, yeah.
Rob's been there for 30 years now. Like in a lot of ways, they're an underdog who's been really consistent, and they don't have like a ton of money. It's like very easy to hate these programs that you feel like are very entitled.
Oregon, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's a pretty good example.
So easy to just hate a team like that.
And my first couple years at Portland, it was like you got 2 short sleeves, 1 long sleeve, a jacket, and a pair of tights, and like don't ask for too many pairs of trainers. You get 1 pair of flats per season, and we might run out of spikes if you're you might have to share spikes. So
I honestly cannot talk because Wisconsin is like a massive sports school. We get literally we get everything like you could ever ask for. So
NAU's more on that. Like I think it was only a few years before I got there that they were saying that like they had to buy their own shoes. Like,
but times have changed in NAU as well, though.
Oh hell, freaking white colors out now.
Yeah. Have you seen the new facility in Flagstaff?
I mean, I've been in the indoor track. I haven't seen anything new. No.
Like opposite the dome, like at Cardinal.
It's got like
yeah.
It's got like 12
$50 million sports facility.
Dude, flag is changing.
When they were building that really pissed me off because I used to like doing loops at the on Cardinal Field. Now you can't do that. Now it's locked up.
How many miles do you reckon you have put on Cardinal Field?
I mean, if you include like the urban trail within 2 miles there, like probably 75,000. I don't know.
75,000.
The number of laps someone like foots him, the number of laps that guy's put on Cardinal, is in like.
Wait, so Cardinal is where they were doing the construction?
Yeah,
it's kind of that double field.
Yeah, I put laps in there.
Yeah,
and they were doing construction. I broke into the construction site 2020, put in those laps. But you
get fit running down that field.
Yeah,
Footsum does hundreds of miles around there at literally 10-minute pace. Yeah. He's like walking around there.
Man, I want to train with Footsum. Everything you say about the way Footsum trains is, I'm like, man, I want to chill with that guy. I don't know. I kind of like chilling and training. But I mean, I haven't had success for like 3 years now, so I'm trying to like, I'm starting to train harder. Don't worry.
Did you train with Footsum? In the last Olympics?
Yeah.
What do you mean about not having success?
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I was on the team with Footsum for. I think he was on the team for the NAZ Elite for a year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would he chill on runs?
Yeah, he would run very easy. I appreciated it. Yeah.
Big time chiller. But all right, so we've talked about a lot of shit. We can probably talk about Boston now.
Okay.
Like more intense. Well, not even Boston, but more like the specific lead up, because obviously like a very interesting thing for you is this is going to be your first marathon with your new coach.
Yep.
Joe Bosshard. My old coach.
Mm-hmm. We're like, couple of boss babes right here.
Yeah, we're like brothers. I don't know what you would call it, but that was at the end of 2021 when you made the swap.
Yeah. I left NAZ Elite in mid-November, and then spent about a month just training on my own and kind of just, no coach, just sort of doing my own thing. And in that time, I made some phone calls, got on the phone with Joe, really liked him, liked the sort of some of the changes that he was sort of he did differently than what we'd done at NAZ Elite, and I think we started working together like formally in early or mid-December. Mm-hmm. And it's been great. Yeah,
I feel like, I mean, when you've been with the same setup for 6 years, you probably just want like a change at some point. Was that like a big reason why you left? You were just like, you felt like you'd kind of like gotten everything you could out of that, like that setup, and you were like, well, if I want to like maybe like make some improvements or whatever, like I probably should change some things.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I felt like I'd plateaued, and I felt like it wasn't going to be like little tweaks that was going to help me get to the next level. Mm-hmm. Felt like I needed some pretty big changes, and
you want to elaborate on these changes, or are they secret?
No, I mean, I just I had a ton of success with NAZ Elite. Like I had a really, really good 5 years there, and I don't want this to sound like I'm like not grateful for the opportunity, or that I like don't really still care about Ben Rosario or really care about the team in general. I just felt like we do a lot, like at NAZ Elite, we did a lot of stuff in like sort of one range. We did a lot of stuff at marathon pace, a lot of stuff off 1 minute rest. And I just didn't feel like that was what was going to like breed success for me going forward. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think any of like that, like I'm not giving away any secrets. All that training is really public, and you could go check my Strava for every single workout I've, done under Ben Rosario. And I just felt like I needed to go in a different direction. And I think that happens, like it's really hard when you are going through that and you're like, these are people I really care about. And this is like, I think most people have this vision of their career where they're with one coach and one team their whole career, and they keep getting better every single year, and they keep PRing, and they have success the whole time. And that's like extremely, extremely rare, if not impossible. And when you really look at it, there are very few people who have one coach their entire career. Very few. And I just felt like I just needed a change. And I think part of that was because I wasn't in a good spot, I think mentally either. Like I was putting so much pressure on myself to have like success, you know, in the most like outcome oriented way possible, where I was coming into these workouts and being like, this is the day I need to do something special in order to be great at Boston, or I need to have this awesome workout in order to get to a level of fitness I haven't had before, and then PR, you know? And that's just it's not a fun way to train, to have like so much pressure on yourself every single workout, and B, it's not like that's not reality. Like you don't need to have an A+ day every single time out. You might not even have to have an A+ day a single time out in workouts. As long as you can keep sort of hitting singles, you'll have success at the end of it. And so I certainly take responsibility for not, maybe not being in the right headspace towards the end there with NAZ Elite. And I just needed a change, both mentally and physically, to kind of reset things. And I think we've done that. I think I've been in a much better spot, more process oriented, more just like, hey, let's have a decent workout. Let's kind of be curious about what the day gives us. Let's not like have these set paces in mind that you absolutely need to hit in order to be great. And I've had more fun, and I've certainly had just less pressure. I've put less pressure on myself this build up.
I don't know like the specifics of how NAZ trains really, but I do know how obviously Joe Bosside trains, and it's like pretty simple. Like it's very like, I don't know, CU. Like they obviously, a lot of people on the team, Joe and Emma, both went to CU, and it's very, CU has like a big, I don't know, they just go out there and run, like especially like the long runs and stuff, and like the workouts. It's like, it's pretty simple, and it's like, just go out there and like get a good effort in. And then obviously Joe brings in, because Joe Bossard as a person is very interested in a much more like sciencey stuff that isn't CU at all. Like CU is completely like just like go out there, hammer like 20-mile long run, etc. And then Joe brings in like he's like big on the lifting, but also like the lactate testing. So it's like a very nice mix. And obviously from a marathon standpoint, like Emma Bates has had a ton of success there, and like now Dom Scott is racing like half marathons and stuff. So I feel like he's gonna like create something pretty good there, and it's just gonna be fun. I feel like it's fun. Like, because that was a really big change for me. I hadn't ever done like a hard long run until I came here. And are you on a 9-day cycle still?
Yep. Yeah, just basically do a hard session every third day.
Yeah, it's like, it's so basic, and like, so that means like your long run is always a workout. It's like, and you feel really fucking good for your long runs because you have the 2 days before it, and you have 2 days after it. It's like, it's pretty fun. Like that's like, it's kind of like a romanticized thing in my mind, but the ability to go out there and just like hammer the fuck out of a long run and know like that's like your training.
Dude, if that's your only hard run in a 5-day period, that gives you like a lot of freedom on that day.
Yeah, you can just crank it, man. It's fun.
And we've done a number of those. Done 24 3 or 4 times. I've done 20 a bunch of times. And Joe's he's been pretty. He hasn't let me like really off the leash. I've done a couple long runs where I was finishing in like the 5:10, 5:15 range for the last few miles. But for the most part, he's just like, hey, 2 miles to kind of warm up, and then start running in the 5:30s. Start running 5:30 pace for the next, 18 or 22 miles. And it's like, it's so simple. It's just like, okay. And, that's something that people do all over the world. Like that's a Canova thing, is to do like a 40K effort at 90% of marathon pace or whatever. Do that 3 times in a block and try to get faster every time. And it's been fun. Those are fun workouts. They kind of suck at the time, but then
I would always make the mistake, like especially early on, where like I would start dropping it down like too early, and once you've like you can't
go back up.
You can't how to slow down. Like you have to maintain that pace, and so I would just be like hurting so bad at the end. But it's just, it is very fun. Like a long run where you just like, especially because the reality of the team is it's like a lot of girls and not so many guys. So you end up doing a lot on your own. But like that solitude is kind of nice, like on those long runs sometimes.
Yeah.
So But I guess, does Joe still have like that silly bike with like the little wheels?
I think he definitely has the mini bike. He hasn't. He said it's too hard to bike like 5:30 pace on the mini bike.
Okay.
So he's been borrowing Will Lear's bike, which is pretty funny because it's a road bike with clips.
So it's like legit.
Yeah, but Joe doesn't have like shoes that clip into it.
Oh.
So he just rides in his sneakers, and he had to walk it up some hills a few times. Like we've been doing this loop where we'll do like 14 or 15 or 17 or 18 miles flat, and then 2 like really big hills towards the end of it. And he hasn't really been able to get up it on the road bike.
Joe is a funny guy like that, where he's like, with some things like that, he just like doesn't bother. Like, I don't know, like some coaches would probably stress about like, oh, I need to get all this stuff. Joe's the type of guy that would like go to Europe with like just a backpack.
Yeah.
And like he won't even bring stuff. And then like if he like runs out of clothes, he doesn't have them, he'll like maybe buy a new pair of like underwear or something there. But he's like, I don't know, he's very funny, very entertaining to be around. But yeah. So is there any, this is kind of a random question. Is there any metrics that you use to like tell that you're fit in the lead up to a marathon, or is it just based on how the sessions are going?
In the past, like at NAZ Elite, we would do like a lot of really long sessions at or around marathon effort. So you could tell how well a marathon segment was going if you were really nailing those every week. But Joe doesn't really do that. We haven't really run any miles at marathon effort. So I'm just taking like my cues from Joe. He seems happy with the buildup. He seems optimistic about how the race is going to go. And, I had one like long run that I kind of had to grind out, but other than that, I had good workouts. And, if you can't, I don't know, that's enough for me at this point. Yeah. I've done this enough times where I know that I know how to run a marathon, and I just a matter of whether or not we have the tools. And I think we do. We've had good workouts. So,
yeah. Any other Boston related questions?
What's the race plan?
I'm just gonna go and like sort of sit in the pack. I think I did too much work in the fall. Last time I ran Boston, I was up front and using too much energy. And ideally, I think it would be good for me if people sort of forgot I was in the race. If you could watch the race and not see me, at least for the first, 17 or 18 miles or whatever. So yeah, I mean, one piece of advice I've like given to friends who are running marathons that I'm going to try to take myself this time is first 20 miles you're water, last 6 miles you're a bull. And I'm just going to try to do that. First 20 miles as relaxed as possible. And then in Boston in particular, once you get over heartbreak, which is like 20.7, the last 5 miles are really fast. So just be as smooth as possible until you get over heartbreak, and then, bring it home.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Is CJ Alwoodson in the race again?
He is. Yeah.
Same race plan?
I'm sure he will. Yeah.
Was he the one that was he leading the whole
He went out
race?
in like 14 something.
Yeah.
First 5K.
Yeah.
That'd be sick to do that again.
Yeah. Good TV time.
No one will see it coming. Okay. Is that a thing do you think anyone cares about getting TV time in the marathon? Because like in cycling, obviously that's a really big deal. Mm-hmm. Do you think brands actually value that?
Not really.
No. I guess it's not the same in running like it is in cycling.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a little bit. Maybe if you're there in the last 3 or 4 miles, but like all the press, like all the, I think, return on investment is sort of done like after the race when people look at the results. I hope that's how sports marketing managers look at it. Cause like,
otherwise I'd just be going out banging. I'd just be going the biggest marathons in the world, banging out 10 good miles and just calling it a day.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is I don't even think I could do that at some of the biggest marathons. Like you put me next to Kipchoge at Berlin or London. It's like, all right, like I hope I can sit here for 8 miles, but
pretty
like
quick.
4:34 pace is like awfully fast. And that's sort of his marathon pace.
It is wild to try and comprehend how quick the quick people in this sport is. As a bunch of like pros, like we're like good runners, but still it's like, man, like they run so quick. But I think running times are always like that though, because even if you look at your own personal best, like I always look at say like my 5K time, or like think about our 5K time. It's about 63s or something around there. Like if I was doing a session where I was doing like 800s at 206, like 5K pace, like that's a fucking hard session,
dude.
Yeah, but we run that for
we
run that for 5 whole Ks. It's weird to think about. It's intimidating.
I don't know how many 800s I could do at that pace.
It doesn't sound easy, does it? But wait, what is your marathon pace?
209.09 is my PB, and that's like 4:54s.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah,
I could run a couple of those.
Yeah.
Less than 10 probably.
Yeah, not
you could run 10. You could run 10. Like you guys at NAU would do like, you know, like 5 whatever. Like even if you're running 5:20s at Buffalo Park, like that's really hard.
Dude,
I've never run 5:20s at Buffalo Park.
Watching T-Day run 10 miles at Buffalo Park was like ungodly.
Yeah.
Because that place is so slow.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I never got to work out there.
I would run...
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's horrible.
Somewhere between 5:15 and 5:20 for like 8 miles was like that was on my best day.
Mm-hmm.
T-Day would run 10 at 5:05s, just chatting away.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 5:15s to 5:20s at Buffalo Park. That's like low 450s on like a sea level road. I really truly believe that.
I believe it.
So what? Oh, I wish T-Day was running.
Yeah, he'll be eventually.
Yeah,
but yeah, well,
he's coming.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna be rooting for you at Boston. Now, we don't have anyone else to cheer for, do we?
No, you can't cheer for anyone else.
Literally no one.
I'm trying to think. Like,
Hav dropped out,
yeah,
so can't cheer for Hav.
I don't really know who else. Do you think we would cheer for in the race?
Who should we cheer against?
You would. Who should you cheer against? Well, I mean, I think you should. Let's see. Who should you cheer for? Who's a good story? I don't want to.
Yeah, let's keep this positive.
Yeah, I think like one of the sort of dark horses who I really like and respect a lot is like Nico Montañez.
Oh yeah,
yeah, good guy.
Does he still train? Does he train in Mammoth?
I think he trains in Mammoth. Good guy.
Well, he went to BYU though, so
I know that's tough, but he's out of there. It's fine.
He's been running well.
Yeah. And then, Colin Benny is a good guy too. I like Colin. He's had a lot of success in the last couple of years, so maybe you can cheer against him. Bring him back to earth,
Yeah,
and then
that's smart.
And then Jared Ward's a good guy too. It's tough to root against him, even though he did go to BYU.
People.
But
is he taking his thyroid medication yet? Do we know?
He is. Yeah, good. He's got Hashimoto's disease.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully he can, because obviously he struggled for a little bit. Hopefully he can like have a good one, because he's obviously so talented, and he's a great. He is dude. Freaking BYU, man. Like, I hate BYU, but the individuals there, they're pretty good guys. you gotta say, like, I mean, that's like kind of like the thing about running in general, right? Is like everyone's just like kind of a good person. It's really hard to like dislike someone in this sport. Like we were talking about Grant Fisher last week, how like perfect he is, like literally every way. So tough to hate that guy. I really like him.
Yeah, I hope someday the sport gets to a place where we can hate people, though. I think that's the next level for the sport. If you sort of look at like the sport needs a really good heel, like a really good villain. Yeah, and it's easy to point to, my least favorite guy, Galen. Yeah, but like. He's not like public facing, like he's not forward facing. He just like he shows up at the races and then you don't hear from him and then he goes back to Portland, and it's like that's not really what makes a good heel.
Yeah, you just don't think about him most of the
time. But like in other sports, you've got actually like it's very easy to dislike, for example, like Danny Ricciardo. Like,
why would you say that?
I don't know. I knew that was going to be a Formula One driver. I knew there was going to be a Formula One driver coming, but that wasn't what I was expecting.
Okay, I know that's a joke because he's the most likable person in the world, but
there's just no like he's just so cocky. There's no humility. There's like his jokes aren't that funny.
Shut up.
He thinks he's great.
Let's pretend that you said Lance Stroll. Let's pretend you said Lance.
All right, Lance Stroll or the other. Who's the other Russian driver?
Mazepin.
He's gone.
Yeah, Mazepin. He's gone. Okay, so
mine, dude. I'm so sick of Max. I just finished Drive to Survive last night, and like I didn't think I'd be that into it because I was like so into the season already. I was like, I don't need to rewatch this, but I just realized how much I don't like Max.
I like Max.
He's a prick.
Yeah,
but a lot of people don't like Lewis Hamilton as well, I guess. So I feel like you kind of pick one.
Lewis, I can see why people would dislike him because he's had so much success.
Yeah,
it's easy to dislike someone who's at the top.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is a great example. Like.
I think in the sport of running, like people just I mean, you could talk about this forever, but it's like people need to be like stars, like famous on a level where like they become. Okay, this is gonna sound weird to say, but like when you become a star like that, you become like kind of dehumanized, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, you get really weird. You get very odd. I think fame, like, I think anyone who experiences like that level of fame, they get very strange.
Yeah.
You know, like Tom Brady's not a normal guy. You know, like
he's a weirdo.
Yeah, like we just saw it at the Oscars. Like Will Smith is clearly a strange dude.
Oh, dude,
you
that's
know?
like
and
the
I think
weirdest
that
thing.
level.
I think the
of fame
fame is getting to him.
Yeah, like that level of fame, like really, like Tom Cruise, very very odd guy.
Super weird.
But that level of fame, like, really changes a lot of people, and that sucks for that individual. I'm sure that those people aren't like as happy as many people who have a little bit more anonymity. But I think for the sport as a whole, it would be helpful if some people got real weird.
So would you take the hit? Would you be the one that becomes like? Would you trade being like a normal person for like being famous and being like hated?
No, I like being a normal guy.
Yeah,
and I like. You know, we talked about it earlier. Like, I can go to Target and no one notices me. You know.
I hope that changes for you.
Yeah. I
don't know what would need to happen in Boston for that to change. Where you went into any Target.
Yeah.
Any Target. Yeah. Yeah. I have to win Boston and then go on a late show, like I go on a real media tour, and then for like maybe 6 months, people would recognize me.
I feel like with the way the world is now. Like, obviously, in your regular life, it feels like you're really far away from stardom. But the way, like, media is, I think you could be one race away from being, like, a superstar. It's kind of like Doug. Is that his name?
Doug Eddard.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
like,
the Peacocks.
Yeah.
St. Peter's.
Like, what was the stats on his Instagram followers, George?
Some, like, from 3,000 to, like, 200,000 in a few days.
Like, I think if you crush Boston and you do something that gets super viral,
yeah.
I don't even, what did that kid even do? Apart from
just be like the only white kid on the team and just, I don't know.
He had like the 3 biggest like games of his life and played really well in front on the biggest stage, you know. If he lights it up in the like, I think they're in the MAC. If he like lights it up in the MAC conference games, nobody notices. But the fact that he timed it where he had his best days on the biggest stage.
Well, yeah, March Madness is kind of set up to produce like stories like that and stars. So. But so is the Boston Marathon.
That's right. Yeah.
So I believe that you can do it. I don't know what you would have to do apart from running really well, but I think you would have to do something else as well, like something kind of. You would have to do something weird. Is what I want to say.
Box.
You'd have to have a really good post-race interview, and then.
Well, yeah, a good example is Shalane. Like,
sure.
That was when you also did well in New York, right? 2018. Was that when she came?
No,
top 3?
Yeah, she must have come top 3 that year, but she'd won the year previous.
Wait, what did she do apart from winning?
She said
like
fuck,
the fuck yeah thing.
Yeah. Like I think
you think that was worth like
100%. I think that did like a lot for her. I don't. What do you? think?
No, I mean it's.
All right, make sure you get a line.
Yeah, it certainly didn't hurt. It certainly didn't hurt.
Get a line ready with 100, 200 to go that you can mouth to the cameras.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Shalane has done a lot to build her profile in her career. Like probably like the billion cookbooks she sold has also helped. But I think yelling "fuck yeah" like did a lot for her.
I would say it would the rankings of in terms of like what has boosted her stature was winning New York, and then that's 1, and then 1A or 1B or whatever. Like a close second is the cookbooks.
Yeah,
because the general population doesn't know about world medals or Olympic medals. Like
no,
they know about
about cookbooks.
Yeah, they know about.
If you were to go back, would you have made Inside a Marathon a cookbook?
Yeah, I've always had this this like idea of like getting like a very nice camera and like going from like burrito place to burrito place and doing like a coffee table book of just like burritos from across the country. Like I think
we have ideas similar to that for like coffee based stuff.
I think if you could get that into Urban Outfitters, I think it would do really well.
That's
you know,
the perfect demo.
Yeah, like if you know that table in Urban Outfitters that's like vinyl, but also like a book of poems.
Yeah.
You know, like if you could get it onto that table, I think it would do really well.
Yeah, you're blowing
you
up.
just probably walk in there and put it on that table.
Yeah,
that'd be the way you do it. The guerrilla
Nothing
marketing.
on that table looks like it's getting sold there. You could just go in and put it down.
Yeah. So what is like the deal with burritos? Like obviously you really like them.
Yeah. I mean, it started as a joke, to be honest.
Okay.
Like, I mean, obviously, my like of them is real. Like, that's very authentic. But I started making that joke when I was at Portland, and we would go every Friday to the same burrito place. It was called Boulevard Tacos then. Now it's called Burrito Azteca. and it was like kind of like the early days of Twitter when it was all jokes. There was none of the sort of like anxiety, hand wringing. This is what's wrong with this sort of,
which is most of Twitter now.
Yeah, chapter of Twitter. It was all jokes, and it was people who were using it the way that like our parents or like aunts and uncles use Facebook now, where it's just like a statement of fact. There were a lot of like, man, look at this shirt, you know? And so I just started. I started out by every time I would get a Corona, I would just say found my beach, because that was the Corona tagline.
Yeah.
Was
that's funny.
Was find your beach, and I would just say found my beach, and I would post a picture, and then it was just very like statement of fact with a picture of burrito. It was just like eating a burrito, like loved this burrito. This burrito is really good, and I would usually like misspell things, or I would add extra spaces, or like not put the hashtag in the right place. It would be like eating this hashtag space Mexican food.
That's good.
But the Mexican food would be like one word, like a hashtag.
It gets people's attention,
yeah. Man. It was basically
the subtleties.
Yeah, it was basically a ripoff of this account called Coffee Dad.
Okay.
Which it would all be like drinking my coffee or like enjoying my coffee with misused hashtags, and then like every 20th tweet would be like it's been 7 weeks since my son passed. I can't believe how lonely I am.
Just dropping those.
Yeah. And it was back when there was no backlash on Twitter, so it was still funny.
Yeah.
And so I just ripped off that with burritos, and then I got faster and I got more followers, and it really took off. Like people started sending me pictures of burritos.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really got to do something with this. So I started rating them. I've done a bit where I like put like the word burrito into like a popular song lyric. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's become, I don't know, it's sort of like taking a life of its own.
That's how you start a community.
Yeah.
And burritos are...
And now we're the burrito mafia.
Easy to get behind.
Yeah.
Like everyone wants to be part of the burrito mafia.
Yeah, that's right.
Who doesn't like that?
Genius.
Yeah. Do you ever, I guess this is a stupid question, but do you ever get annoyed about like being like really well known for burritos?
No, I don't. I think I think being known for something like really silly is like that's like much harder than being known for something that you actually like put a lot of work into.
It's true.
Because like every single one of us, like no matter what a professional runner says, like we all work our asses off. We all really want this. Like none of us are lazy, whatever. Like there's no differentiation if all we're talking about is how bad you want something. Mm-hmm. But like being known for something really silly that like brings joy to people's life, like burritos, or like tweeting about burritos, or like, that's like way more interesting to me than like being known as the guy who like is really diligent about his rehab exercises, you know?
You pretty much just summed up like, well, that's my goal. Like that's why I just like Chicken Boy Morgan like has no meaning really behind it apart from just being like different, and then like the YouTube videos and stuff, like they're just silly, but like I get nervous because like I definitely try, like obviously like that is me, like it's like what I'm into, I'm expressing myself. But yeah, if you like watch my YouTube videos and you see how silly they are, and then you came and hung out with me, you'd be like, wait, this guy goes to bed at like 9:30? Like what a fucking loser. like man, I thought this guy was wacky and wild. He's just the same as the rest of them. He does. He's prehab, he's rehab. Like you're totally right, where it's like something like that is so cool to differentiate yourself and have a
I mean, that's even what me and Olli figured out in LA. No one was coming up to us because they thought our running was cool. They just wanted, they just were asking about Gus and like wanting to do like take coffee club photos. They didn't give a shit about the running.
And like it makes sense though, because like I, as a fan of other stuff, I'm the exact same. Like if someone like in music, for example, like there are certain artists who have like shared a lot more, like made like vlogs and shit. And like I don't think their music is like better than other people or whatever, but I fucking love them. And like it's like a deep down love, just because like it's like deep down. So yeah. But the other thing I want to ask you about, I don't know like how long ago exactly you did this, but you also had your own podcast about movies. Is this correct?
Yeah.
The showrunners?
The showrunners, yeah.
So you're like a massive movie buff?
I do like movies. I haven't been watching as many lately as I should be, and I don't. Like I feel bad that I've let that lapse, and I would like to get back on it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I haven't done it in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Was that like, how many episodes of that did you do?
I think I've done like 6 or 7.
Okay.
Not a ton.
You got to bring that back.
I know.
The showrunner. I mean, that's a good name.
It is a great name.
I really enjoyed doing it in person, and then the pandemic forced us to do it over Zoom, and it's not as fun for me.
It's not the same. Yeah. It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was to ask you like a general question about like the place that you see like media and self-promotion as like a part of like a pro runner's like job, like where do you see it as like obviously it's extremely valuable, but do you think like it should be a pro runner's job to do all this like cool stuff that like you've done and like we try to do?
I don't think it should be. I think promoting yourself should be going above and beyond what is asked of you as a professional runner. Because if you look at other sports and other like I don't think an athlete should have to be an athlete and brand ambassador.
Yeah.
I think if you really want to be a good brand ambassador, you can take on that responsibility. But I think the onus should be on the companies to promote themselves through the athlete. And I don't necessarily think they have an obligation to promote the individual athlete, but using that athlete that you're putting money into in order to like advance the storyline of the brand is like a no-brainer to me. Like
100%.
You know, like it's just not how other sports are like structured, you know, like.
Well, yeah, think about any big American sports team and just imagine how big their media department is.
Yeah.
It's like they're putting like millions and millions of dollars into creating content.
Yeah.
That's what we're competing against right now.
Yeah. Like it shouldn't be on, like, for example, it shouldn't be on Tiger Woods to promote all of his partners. It should be on his partners to use Tiger to promote themselves. You know, like Tiger basically doesn't have an Instagram or Twitter presence, but he is, you know, obviously because of his performance, is, you know, one of the most recognizable and famous athletes in the history of the world. And in part of that is because his people have used him. He hasn't needed to like post a Instagram story of him wearing Jordans or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
It seems really obvious when you put it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for us, like, I mean, in an ideal world, all I would do is train and race. I wouldn't do like, I would have, like work with other people to do all this other shit. But obviously the infrastructure is just not there in our sport. But I mean, it is obviously shifting because like a group like NAZ Elite or a lot of other groups out there, definitely, I think they're extremely late to the party, to be fair. But like they're seeing the value of all that stuff. Like, yeah, you can create fans because I definitely look at it like if I'm just looking at it personally, like, man, I'm not trying to like bag on myself again, but like I haven't raced in a long time, but then there are other ways to be relevant. And at the end of the day, as a pro runner, like that's kind of what you kind of want to be relevant. Yeah. Because that's where your value lies. So it's like, hopefully brands continue to cotton on and get better at it pretty much. Like I think there's a lot of cool stuff we could do with OAC that we like, unfortunately don't currently do, but yeah.
Big stretch, guys.
Yeah, Gus just stretched his neck in a way that I don't think I've ever seen him do before.
Well, and that goes back to like staying relevant as a marathoner. If you race twice a year, like that should be on the brand to fill in that gap of 6 months.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of cool shit happening still in those months.
I think, I totally agree. Like, if a brand really, like, if brands need content just as much as they need because what we do as professional runners and as like ambassadors for brands is basically to lend validity to the brand. We make it cool. We testify to the product. Our performances like are evidence that this product works. But the brands should they need to double down on their investments. Like the issue is not investing enough. So like for a group, right? Like for OAC, like I think you guys should have your own content creator, or like OAC could very easily find a person in Boulder to contract with and be like, hey, need you one workout a month. We need you taking pictures, or like one workout a month, we need a video. You know, like that's a
It's
really
an absolute no-brainer.
yeah.
Well,
And
then,
then that could be 300 pictures that could go to the on, and they could use it on their Instagram or use it on their website as they wish. That's their content.
And probably
Yeah.
all those 10 athletes also going to use that same content.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's such a small world. The obvious comparison is Tin Man because they've been able to build like a massive brand without the same performance as other groups. They're like a massive brand, and like Adidas honestly hasn't helped them very much in terms of like what they do. Like they have a ton of value, and they've done it by just having like they literally have a full-time media person, and it works. It works.
Like it shouldn't be on athletes to also be the creative marketers. Like those are two like separate kind of full-time jobs. Not being an athlete isn't a full-time job. You can have a side gig, but like being like a marketing person for like a multi-million-dollar property like an AZ Elite was, like on Athletic Club, like if you combined all of your guys' contracts, all of your guys' research, all of your value, it's a multi-million-dollar a year industry. Like like if you look at a multi-million-dollar a year like company, like let's say Picky Bars before before they got bought by Laird, like I bet that they had a full-time marketing person. I bet it wasn't like the person who was like experimenting in the kitchen to make the Picky Bars wasn't also in charge of their Instagram. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy that all these brands have obviously seen that Tin Man hired this guy, Max, does all this stuff, generates huge success. All right, why would every other team not hire a Max for them?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, honestly.
Why would every team not have a Max?
Don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's
every team should have that one guy.
yeah.
Well, my theory on
guys.
it, in part,
I'll
is
take three.
because I mean, my theory on it is because brands don't necessarily see athletes being with them their whole career, and they don't want to promote someone who then will eventually be on another company.
That is interesting.
Which is so fucking short-sighted.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you do the best job at promoting an athlete, even if they went to a different company, people would still in some way associate them with you. So I think,
and that's not really how it works in any other sport. You know, like Adidas poured a ton of resources into marketing Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
When he was with Adidas, he was eventually with Nike.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the Adidas money was wasted. I'm sure he sold a lot of shoes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very interesting. I guess at the end of the day, we're just like talking about peanuts compared to other sports, and it's like hopefully we can make those peanuts into what's a bigger, better nut. Like
I thought you
macadamia
said
nuts.
peanut butter.
I would like those peanuts to grow into peanut trees. Do peanuts grow on trees?
No, they grow underground, bro.
I don't know where this metaphor is going, but hopefully the pie can become a bigger pie, and then we can all have
A slice.
a slice of that pie, and then that same percentage is a bigger slice. That's my dream. For the pie to be bigger for everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is a small slice right here.
Yeah, this is a very small
Tiny
slice. But who knows, maybe one day. But yeah, is there anything else that you would like talked about today? I feel like we've like talked about like a ton of interesting stuff. Gus has no.
Gus is done. Gus thinks we're done.
Thank God. They're going to stop talking soon. We can go outside.
Yeah. No, man, we covered a bunch of stuff. I mean, if there's anything else you guys want to talk about, I'm happy to do it for longer, but
I'm good. I mean, I'm just excited to go see you run in Boston. And we talked about this on the last episode that we're going to have like an unofficial coffee club, track club thing where anyone who comes as a guest, we're going to have like a board eventually. And like the fastest guests, like PBs are going to be on the board. So
I forgot we talked about that.
Yeah. Hopefully you go and run super quick in a couple of weeks and then your name goes up on the board.
Gotcha. My past
marathon.
Performances don't get up on the...
No.
It's post-coffee club.
It's
you guys
post
wanna,
episode.
Yeah, so you guys want to see if there's a coffee club bump or a coffee club curse is what you're really trying to figure out.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. Have we had any... I guess we haven't interviewed enough people yet to...
Yeah.
That then gone on a race, but I guess... So you're our first test.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Talked about it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it 100% hinges on how you do.
All right, 12 days.
12 days.
Better be ready.
Yeah.
No, this was great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
guys for having me.
Yeah. Are you going to be racing in a hat? I've liked the new look lately, like the black singlet and hat.
Yeah, I got a haircut so that I didn't have to race in a hat, but I would like to.
I'm all about it.
You got some nice flow.
If I ever... I'm coming to Boston, actually.
Okay. Are you running the mile or something?
Don't do the marathon. 5K.
The 5K, nice.
Yeah.
That's a fun race. It's a fun race.
And I'm for sure gonna run in a hat. I think
Do
actually.
it.
If I'm
That's
running on
just
the
road
road
racing, man.
Why would I not run in a hat?
There's no rules in road
Yeah.
racing. It's fucking cool.
I don't know if
bro.
there's rules on the track either. Can you run in a hat on the track?
You can. It's just
That
it's just
feels
not as
weird.
cool. I
But
don't
on the
know.
road, like
Track's not as cool.
I'm definitely gonna do
Yeah.
that.
At night, it's not cool to wear a hat, right?
No.
No, unless it's backwards.
That's definitely
Then it's super cool.
Yeah.
get all the bitches. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. It's been lovely to have this chat, and we wish you the best at Boston. Thank you to everyone who listened. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.